So this is a Liberty safe. This is the Lincoln, I believe.
That's a pretty beefy looking safe.
It's beefy, yeah. Oh. But it did the best of all the safes up here. But remember, it's bolted to the cement floor. This is the garage, right? So it didn't tip over.
That was key too, because if it tips over,
exactly. If it tips over, all bets are off. In fact, I had another one in the house, and it tipped over, and everything was cooked.
Wow.
Yeah, but this one remained standing, and so it did much better. But you can see, I mean, how hot it got in here.
Right.
I'd pulled, all the guns and stuff out first, most of them, all the ones I could fit. There were a couple that I left in here, and they seem okay. A little bit, smell a little bit like smoke, but they seem like
they survived the experience. What about papers?
All my papers survived, thankfully. And it got just barely not hot enough to ignite those. I had like some plastic filing cabinet type things that you'd put in here, and the plastic all deformed, but just a little bit. I could still open it, I could still access it. And thankfully all those papers were still intact.
That is so bizarre.
Yeah, here's one that's full. Here, have a beer.
Thanks, man. Jeez. Look at that.
Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. The aluminum cans are on a trip.
This is what you'd figure would melt, right?
Well, but remember, it was at the bottom of a pile. All kinds of other things fell on top of it. There wasn't that much wood except for the structure, so it didn't get that hot. My two fireplaces were probably the most intact. Everything else is, a lot of it's still recognizable. Like there's a microwave oven, there's a dishwasher carcass, and various tanks and things.
Yeah, what about the tanks? Now, they're supposed to have a valve prior to did they survive? Did they let loose?
That big one here with the X on it, that was a water tank, so that didn't have any problems. Close this up.
So this is...
But the propane bottles...
Jeez.
The propane tank, so the little barbecue bottles, those things all vented out.
Oh my God!
Did not work.
Was that? You're saying that was a tank? That was a.
This is one of these propane bottles here.
Okay, this is what happens to a propane bottle.
Right. So when the relief valve doesn't work, it detonates severely, and this would have been spectacular. Glad I wasn't here when
you guys were saying that you heard them going off across the ridge, right?
Oh yeah. We heard large explosions, some of which were clearly propane bottles. Other explosions were likely trees exploding, because they sounded differently, right? When the fire comes up so hot and fast and engulfs an entire tree, the moisture can't get out fast enough, and the thing just goes bam, and it's big. Well, if there's, in order for it to get that hot, there's flame everywhere.
So it's got to be a fireball.
It's going to be a huge fireball.
Propane all over the place, which is going to ignite pretty much instantly.
Right.
So quick.
You had 3 barbecues. You like to entertain.
Well, it's hungry, and you gotta barbecue.
Yeah.
The pool had a nice wooden deck all around it.
Wow.
And all that burned up.
Did you consider staying in that at all?
We were, I was thinking about it. We were actually in the pool that Wednesday before we decided to leave. We're like, let's take one last dip in the pool, and that was great. Rainwater had gotten in, and the heat just made it tear right open.
So it was sealed, more or less.
More or less, and it expanded faster than it could get back out through the seep holes.
So it actually did explode.
I think so.
Exploding table.
Yeah.
Exploding table, huh? Is air conditioning unit?
Yep, air conditioning unit. And of course, this next box over here was the generator that was running full tilt at the time.
Like your old Generac generator, right?
Yep, that's right.
So it actually kicked in when your power went down, and.
Oh yeah, the power was off starting Tuesday night, right? This thing had been running full tilt since then.
Right,
and
propane.
I left everything on, thinking, well, okay, you never know. We don't know if this is only going to be like a 1 or 2 day thing, and we're going to come back. I wanted my fridge and freezers to all be good, so I just left the whole thing running.
So would you do that next time? Leave the propane? Would you leave the generator on?
Whole thing of propane there, ready to go.
So it didn't blow. It kept the generator going.
Correct. Well, at least until it burned up. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any way of talking to your house remotely?
No, I would have, except that all the network stuff was down. The cell was down, and of course Comcast had stopped ages ago. Before then, because the power. When the power goes out, Comcast only gives us the duration of their UPS systems and their repeaters, so we get like about 4 to 6 hours once the power goes off. So that was all done Tuesday night. And
Sometimes
then
they bring
I switched
generators
over
up, but this time they didn't because so many areas had their power out.
Yeah.
all wooden deck along through here, and it's
So this was your deck all through here, and
Yeah.
naturally it's totally gone.
Yep.
And these are the deck chairs, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that was a design that we had painted on the wall.
Nice. Yeah. So metal and cement, of course.
That's it. Those were good years.
Yeah.
So he built us this nice wall here for the pool, and he built all of these walls here, the cement structure here, the wall up there.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
great work. And of course, he kept trying to convince me to build the whole house that way. I'm like, no, we can't possibly do that. Had I taken him up on the offer, we'd still have a house.
Well, I guess you have a second opportunity to work with him on this.
You can see, because this was so close to the house and the house burned so hot, it charred it and it spalled it and cracked it in a few places. But all in all, I mean, this thing is really solid. I mean,
This is your
it's only
like.
the surface coat that, and you know, this is totally repairable. We had the exact same thing happen on the top surface. If you come on
Wow.
up here,
This is all cement.
this is all concrete. Yeah.
Concrete. With a metal
Yeah, it's
infrastructure.
got wire mesh and rebar inside. Two different layers with a air gap in between.
Seems pretty light too.
Yeah, that's because it's hollow inside.
Oh. Well.
But see, so I've had them repatch everything on here because this surface did the same thing that sidewall did.
Wow.
Because we had a bunch of stuff on here that also burned up.
Is this
and I
what-
was worried about it being leaking, right, with
Yeah.
cracks and stuff, and so I wanted to completely fix it. So he did, and I went through this last rainstorm, not a drop inside. So
Wow.
good to
Wow.
go.
This is what your neighbor was referring to as
Yeah,
the ice skating.
The ice skating rink.
It looks kind of like.
Yeah, when they were first building it, they kept trying to think, what kind of craziness is Peter's up to? Building an ice rink up in Boulder Creek? Yeah.
Or,
So the cement colored stuff is new. The old stuff was all stained this color here. Right, so we have it stained this color to match the natural rock that comes out of the hillside. There was
yeah,
a
naturally.
couple of rocks up there that we found that is this exact color, and we're like, that's what we want.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this top coat is just sort of a thin little coat that he puts on for the surface,
Right.
and then he's got structural coats below it,
And then the wire underneath.
and then the wires underneath that, and then of course, it's about this thick, about this much space in the middle, and then this thick on the outside.
Wow. Wow. And you've got electrical in it too.
Yeah, we had electrical, we had low voltage lights, we had all kinds of good stuff, and of course that all melted, but that's all right. We can
Replace that.
replace that.
Yeah. So this building gets to stay.
Yeah.
Wow. What does the X on it mean?
Oh, so EPA came here to investigate potential hazards.
Yeah.
And they would, so the pink X means possible asbestos present because of the gasket seal around the door there. They
So that's-
couldn't tell for sure, so they're
I
going to
see.
have this tested when they come in to do the final cleanup, and they've identified the things that could potentially be hazardous. So the white X's means everything's safe on those propane bottles over there.
Yeah.
They took the valves out and everything, and they're completely empty, so that stuff's safe.
Gotcha.
Then there's, so this is pink. Same thing with my safe, because they were afraid that the fireboard might have asbestos in it. I don't think it does, but they're just identifying stuff.
I see. You got to look at this more closely.
And you can't tell, but the big propane tank up there,
Yeah.
there's a, what color is it? An orange X on the opposite side that said that they did not mess with it because it still had a little bit of propane left in it, and so they didn't want to try to open it up.
Does that mean they check it out?
So that just means that it doesn't appear to be dangerous. It doesn't have any asbestos, but it's not completely cleared yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The charring ends right here, and nothing from here on out had any problems at all.
This is what survived.
Your shop.
Even the side of the forest didn't have any effect over here.
Yeah. Your shop equipment survive?
Yeah, everything inside is intact. In this tree down, which I thought for sure it was going to get. You can still see there's a little bit of green in here.
Yeah, amazing.
Tree should be okay.
It's like a little nest almost.
Yeah.
How is it able to get so hot and not kill the tree?
Well, so it's mostly ice plant underneath it. So the only thing that could burn around here was the timbers that we had for the fence.
Right.
So it got hot enough to sort of sear it, I guess, right? Which is
Yeah.
why everything turned brown. And I thought for sure this thing was dead. But a couple weeks later, I noticed, hey, there's some green poking out of this now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your hose is.
Yeah, the hose has got a few
melted.
pieces that are still intact, but the holes at each end of it pretty much mean it's unusable. So we call this shop my Hobbit Hole. That's the way it's sort of built into the ground. We say, okay, look, if we're going to stay up here and try to survive this, we got a couple options. We got the swimming pool, we got the Hobbit Hole, and we got the ridge top that we could get up to, which we were already up, and we saw that fire had already passed over the top of that, and so most of the things had already charred, and so we didn't think it was going to burn back over the already burnt stuff.
Yeah.
So we figured those were our three options. This fire would have burned for several hours as it's passing over everything, right? So I don't know. I mean, you have to have a lot of good capacity on your scuba tanks to be able to survive that.
These houses smoldered for many, many hours.
Right. I mean, we came back the next morning. We made it in. There wasn't any police protection whatsoever that next day. We easily made it in. Nobody even batted an eye at us. We got in the next morning, fairly early, about 10 o'clock, and the smoke was thick as pea soup. You could barely see. I mean, from here you would not be able to see the burned out truck down there. It was just so thick.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's pretty
radios.
Well, I am a ham radio operator, and I lost all my radios in there.
Really?
Yeah.
It used to be a ham now.
Yeah. It's right here, right?
I had it parked right here, as high up as I could get it, thinking this should be far enough away from both sides. Not sure what the fire was going to do, but somehow it burned. It heated it up enough to crack the side windows, release the emergency brake, and it rolled all the way back down to where those X trees are and just stayed there.
Huh. That means that those trees need to be pulled?
Yeah, the X's were from EPA. They came in and they marked potential hazardous trees so that when their workers came in to look at other stuff, they wouldn't get bonked on the head by falling stuff.
Yeah. And the equals sign?
I don't know what that meant.
X equals X. Well, I could agree with that, but I don't know.
Some sort of strange EPA-based algebra. I'm not familiar with.
Yes, okay.
But you can see my fruit trees.
Yeah.
They got scorched.
But they still have
There's
their
still
leaves.
some life in some of them at least. So,
Right.
And in fact, these didn't. I mean, this all happened after we came the next day.
Yeah.
And the trees didn't look this bad. This all happens because they were scorched and the leaves died.
Right.
So that's why I couldn't figure out where did this heat come from? What direction and what happened?
Wow. Is that fruit on the tree? Is that?
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of oranges still out there.
Oh my
It dropped
God.
most of them, but a couple of them stayed.
Oh man.
Suckers almost freeze dried.
That's pretty hard. That's pretty hard.
Yeah, this one's got a few more.
Yes, yeah. A real fire phorensicist.
There you go. That
would
one's probably
say.
still good.
Yeah, look at that. Some juice in it.
Maybe.
Fire juice.
Yep.
Amazing.
This is what
Yeah.
we had for our defensible space.
I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's.
Yeah, the problem though is always those floating embers, right? And I
Yeah.
have wooden decks everywhere, so I don't know how you deal with that other than having sprinklers or being on site to spray
Floating
down
embers. Well, that's
flare-ups.
where the giant fireman's bags for the fire make sense.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Duffy, I told him I wanted to have a stairway, and he said, "Oh, I'll just build it right in there."
Yeah, what an artist.
Yeah,
Wow,
he
that's
does a lot
beautiful.
of good stuff.
Wow.
So in this little cavern here was another water tank, 2,500 gallons. You
And that was a
the
plastic tank, huh?
circular, yeah, plastic poly tank. And that completely burned up. I had two more 5,000-gallon tanks over here next to these redwoods, and there's still a little bit of remnants of those left.
And they all had water in them.
They were filled to the tippity top.
The,
So this is
Wow.
a 5,000, and that was a 5,000. And this one, come look at this. This melted down,
yeah.
and then all the plastic flowed out through here. That's plastic. That's not water. Is that crazy?
Yeah. Wow. Like a volcano.
Yeah.
Like
And the
lava.
interesting thing about this is when these things melt, they just melt from the top and slowly melt down, right? A little bit of water pours out, so it's not a giant gusher that tears the hillside away.
Yeah. So it's a
This is
slow.
water that was released slowly.
Yeah. I've seen a magic trick based on this principle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It still has a little bit of water in there.
So this is the top.
Yeah, this is our mosquito farm now.
Yeah. I have noticed little tiny ones.
Don't worry, I put some of those mosquito dunks in here to get rid of them.
Yeah, no worries. I was fixing my septic system. I didn't cover it up fast enough.
Yeah.
Wow, this is almost artistic.
Yeah, it is.
God.
Oh, you should have seen some of the molten aluminum coming out of these vehicles. It's
Really?
Unbelievable. It just drips out of there. I mean, it drips out of the radiator, drips out of the wheels, out of all kinds of things.
Dripping metal.
Yeah, and it just cools down. It does the same thing that this plastic did, and then it solidifies, and now you got this nice chunk of, very artistic-looking aluminum.
Yeah, so inspire the artists among us.
Yeah.
Metal art.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah. It's all crusty.
Pouring over like a waterfall. Must have been an interesting plastic waterfall.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
From this angle. Be like,
You poured all the way down, stained all the bricks and everything.
yeah, pyroclastic effects.
Yeah. This rack was in my office, and let's see. That's a heating element from I don't know what. This is probably a motor from a ceiling fan or something. Oh no, that's a that's a that's a hurricane lamp. Is what that is.
Oh.
All the glass is completely gone.
Wow.
And that's all that's left. But that was on the upper floor, so this came down on top of this later on. But my hard drives would have been right in here, and as you can see, there's nothing left.
Wow. Wow, they just melted metal, huh?
Well, yeah, so that was the upstairs bathtub that came down on the lower floor afterwards.
Okay.
This is the...
Oh, yeah, it's your handiwork?
Yeah. Some of these still had some writing on a few pages, but most of it's all just powder.
Wow. To magazines or
Yep,
books, huh?
exactly. I had 2 huge bookcases filled with technical books.
Wow.
Man.
Specialty wise.
Software engineer. So I had all sorts of things from a 30-year career
Wow.
in the industry. Yeah, nothing even...
This looks like a power supply here.
Oh yeah, power supply for one of the PCs. Actually, that was sitting on this rack, so that's right next to where the hard drives were. So they would have been right around here. Let's see what... Oh, that's some of my wire. Oh yeah. I had a couple of big boxes of Cat 5 wire. That's probably it.
That's it, huh? That's the inside of Cat 5.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, Cat 5 not rated for this kind of heat.
Yeah.
Gotta
What do you
go with
think
Cat
these
6
were?
plenum. Let's see.
They're
This.
right near the power supply here. It's a bunch
Oh yeah,
of
these
them.
are PC boards. These are hobbyist boards. You can see. I hadn't built anything with them yet, but you can see they're
Do
the.
some breadboarding. with
Exactly.
those, yeah. Cool.
Yep. So that's what that is.
Little-
Oh, I had a nice Tektronix scope that was right around here. Actually, there should be some good pieces of metal from that laying around somewhere.
Some metal slag here. This looks like a car radio.
Oh, yeah, that's one of my ham radios.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Ham radio. Oh.
Yeah, this is my.
2 meter band, 6 meter?
This is a 220, I believe. This is an ICOM 36A, something like that. I can't remember exactly what.
Nice.
Yeah, sure was. There should have been a couple others nearby.
Well, there's this.
Oh, that's a power supply. Okay, so we're in the right area.
Yeah, that's the...
Yeah.
Here's a hard drive. Here's some of the
Oh
circuit
yeah, there's a
board.
PC board. What was this? I don't remember what this was.
What kind of connector is that? Yeah.
That's a DB25, but I don't know what this board was or what that chip is.
Was in this case.
Yeah. Some of my railroad spikes.
There's a-
Power strip.
Okay, well, metal power strips.
Yep.
They survive, sort of.
Lots of tile from the upstairs bathroom. Oh yeah, here's some speakers. Yep. Oh yeah, so I bet all my good stuff. Oh yeah, here's the magnet.
Well,
Let's see if that's still. Oh no, that went way past its purity
about that
point.
thing,
Yeah, that's
gone, huh?
that is non-magnetic.
never to work again.
Yep.
Some pottery. Huh?
No, that's
Tile-
tile from
tile
the
from
bathroom.
upstairs?
Yep.
Here's another.
Oh yeah, another radio maybe. Yep. Oh, I think that was my Kenwood dual bander. Oh man.
Wow. Yeah, some PC connectors in the back there.
Oh, no, this was a hard drive case. Okay, so we're in the right spot.
So that was the hard drive.
Yep. And
Interesting. There was a hard drive in there.
there was one in there. Look at that. There's not anymore.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
Transformer. Okay, I'll use a spike to do the digging here.
Yeah. Let's see. Forensics.
Yeah. Well,
You get good at fire forensics here.
yeah.
What was this?
Okay, so this would have been. Oh. This might have been my. Might have been a KVM switch. Let's see, that would have been near my desk. It could have fallen down to here, possibly. It's really hard to tell what this was, but it's about the right size.
Yeah.
Or it was a. Could have been an Ethernet switch. I don't know. At this point, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Oh, here's some of my coax cable. Wow. Look at that. Nothing left but the ground braid.
Wow.
That was some RG6.
Look at this, it just crumbles like powder.
Well, that's copper that has been stressed way past its.
Copper becomes a powder.
Yeah, when it's heated like this.
Copper powder.
Yeah.
Some alchemical use.
Yeah. More speakers. The DC power supply that I had.
It's an actual power supply.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this had a couple of meters in here for voltage and current. You can even still see the transformer in there.
Yeah.
That was a nice big beefy one.
This looks like the.
That might have been a sewing machine.
Oh, little gears there.
Yeah, I think that was one of my wife's sewing machines.
Wow. Future for you would be build a new place here.
Right.
And of course, taking into consideration all the things you've been learning.
Well, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
we lived in this house for 21 years, I guess. 23 years. And we learned about all kinds of things that we liked and didn't like. And so we're thinking of putting together a plan for something that's roughly the same, but maybe change the interior around a little bit.
Yeah.
Fix the things that were really bugging us, that sort of thing.
Caught up in a daydream, big stones begin to crackle. Find a way, 'cause there is some light in the box of shadow.